As the peak of summer arrives and the green food starts dying back, the berries start to ripen, slowly but surely the willow bark stops giving up so freely its cordage, and the nettle, Urtica diosica, or diuca, however you want to pronounce it, the stinging nettle, becomes the most cordage friendly plant available. And this is going to be a little video on how to use it. Okay, this stem here is just over 4 feet, probably about 4.5 feet tall. Comes to just here. See that? Just over 4.5 feet tall. And this has probably gone past its best for food, but nonetheless it's grand for cordage, and I personally prefer them to be a bit redder, but this is just about the change over time, so you will find some that are red, but these ones are turning, and we're going to harvest a couple of these just to for demonstration purposes. I'll put them on video. Okay, well, the first thing we do is get right down to the base of the plant, and the spines down here do still sting, so you must be careful, but with a simple knife like this and a little bit of confidence and a little bit of forethought, you should be able to breach it with no problem. And the key to the nettle is the spines. Now, these spines, being old, they stick out, but on the younger ones they tend to grow up, and the further up the plant you go and onto the leaf, they'll grow upwards and instead of directly outwards. But frankly, with just some delicate brushing, so I'll just wait for the plane. Yeah, coming out here disturbing my peace. Yes, that's right. With some delicate brushing, you should find you can break all the silica bristles down the bottom, or spines I should say, and get a grip. So let me just show this to you now in a close-up. Now, it doesn't come out too well on the camera, but this fuzzy greyness around the stem is actually the spines. And what I've done here is literally just rubbing my finger on it has broken those spines, and doing it gently and securely, confidently, I was able to clean it, and you can see now it's got a shiny green sheen to it, whereas the upper stem is still covered in spines. And so I'll be able to cut down there now without any fear, and I'll be able to grip it and cut it properly. So I'll do that, get back to you. I think I'll do this one here as well. Okay, with the nettle, the first thing we want to do is strip it. So we're going to strip this carefully, and the first thing we do is from the bit that we cleaned at the base, just rub our fingers over until we reach the leaves, just clearing off the spines, and this means we can get a good grip on the stem, and a good grip will mean that this whole process will go a lot easier. So by breaking all the initial spines, that's given me a free handhold to grip it properly. Now, first trick is to remove the leaves, and this is done without crushing the stem, but instead just running your fingers quite firmly up until I got a tiny bit of sting there, not a proper sting because I missed a couple of leaves, but yeah, we'll just carry on now. Right. This is a tough nettle. Oh dear. Okay, this is actually too tough for me to do, funnily enough. Right. This is actually a good sign that it's going to be a good cordage. So I'm just going to pluck the leaves off individually. But I've got another one for demonstration, I'll show you in a moment. Okay, we don't need to go any higher than that. That is a tough nettle. We don't need to go any higher than that. So I'll just break that off. And here we have our stem. Let me show you those leaves again from a different angle. Right, let me just show you how I picked off those stems, because if we approach it right at the base where the spring, where the crop, we approach it where this bit meets the stem, we can just break it. If it wasn't such a tough nettle, it'd be easy. Just off like that. Okay? And then you don't get stung. Because that didn't go as planned, I'm just going to show you how to remove the leaves, providing the nettle isn't as tough as those ones. Just grip the base. There you go. I didn't get stung. Didn't get stung at all. That's fine. Okay, after removing the stems, I'm just doing more cleaning here. Just breaking all the spines so there's no risk of me getting stung. And just with a sweeping, turning motion, as you can see here, I can just cover all the spines and all the stem. Now, we next move on to these joints, like you see in bamboo and every other tree or branch or whatever it is. These joints here will be the bits that give the most strength to the spine, and what we do is we just have to break those. So now this works best if you break on the same plane all the way up. So instead of moving around the stem, I'm going to create a flat stem all the way along. Gosh, this is a tough nettle. And slowly but surely these bits are going to break into fractured pieces, like so. You see I have 1, 2, 3, and there's a fourth around the other side. So I'm going to make these flat all the way up instead of turning an axis. Can you hear this buzzing right next to my head? It's a little hoverfly. And we're just crushing all these. Gosh, this is such a tough nettle. And always on the same plane, and it gets easier as you go up. Should do anyway. Gosh! Here's a bit that's slightly rotting, probably ant damage. And that's fine, that's just going to help us anyway. So, just crush that nearly all the way to the top. unbelievable. Okay, so that's him crushed all on the same plane. And now comes separation, and that's easy. Just find a place where it splits nicely, like that. Dig your finger in and split it, like so. Okay, all the way down. Split the end, and then turn it around to the other side. It's like a banana split or something like that. There you go. So that's broken right open, and I'll split that in half now, and we can start separating the cordage. Well, actually, I'll split this in more than half. See, there's a bit of cordage coming away already. Okay, let's just get started on this piece. What we're going to do now is separate the inner pith from the outer part, because along the outer edge is the cord that we want. So this small piece here is cordage. Just lay that down, show you proper. Now, we make a bend, or snap, like so, and to remove the pith, place your thumb just on one side and make the initial snap, like so. See that? That's the pith separating from the outer cordage. Now, if we just get your thumb, like so, and that's pith coming away there, on top, and cordage underneath. Oops, spin it around. So, there, just pelt that, and that's all in a core now, and that's all cordage. And then from the other side, just make sure you get all the little bits. From the other side, see the separating the cord from the pith. Like so. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We have our cordage, we have our inner pith. Lovely, lovely piece of cord right there. Excellent length, absolutely brilliant. I'm really happy with that. Okay. Well, a piece of cordage like this, one of the shorter simple strands, this can be used as is immediately, and it makes great simple binding for things like food, if you're going to wrap food in packages of leaves and things like that. And it makes a I've used this to tie tripods and things like that, and I've suspended 2 litres of water for as long as we needed. It was over an hour or so at the time, and you know, that was easy. It held up no problem. Just a couple of these wrapped around a tripod, and yeah, just like this, can be served very, very quickly, almost immediately, in fact, and yeah, very efficient, very good. But what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to make something a bit stronger. Let's just use this piece as an example, and then I'll start to fill it together properly. Now, most of this cordage technique is taken from Ray Mears, but there's little things I like to do, which is, it's just... What I like to do is, I like to put a little roll into the cordage first. And this makes it much easier to deal with, much easier if you ask me, than trying to roll it as you're spinning it. So it may take a tiny bit longer, but it works out much more efficiently, makes a nice neat cordage, and means that it has more uniformity, so it generally makes it stronger. So if I do this all the way up and down this plant, this bit of cordage, you'll see how it starts to take shape. Hello, Mr. Wasp. What are you doing on my leg? Go away. Go on, shoo. I don't have anything you want. There's a wasp down here looking at my cordage. He's very interested. Okay. Now, there's just a bit more uniformity, and you could say it's conditioned. But what we do now is, now we've braced it, prepared it, whatever you want to call it, find a even split. It's a good idea to take off any hairs or incomplete sections. Let's use my teeth here. It's the tastiest cordage I've ever used. Now, you have two even sections. Place those on the leg like so. And with the tension pulling on the left hand here, which will be on your right hand side, I start to roll, and we're rolling in the same direction, like so. And as soon as I let go, you'll see there's a natural kink, and that is the start of your cordage. So let's do this piece, and I'll show you the classic 2-strand nettle cordage. Open out the section there, make sure it's all nice and neat. Right, I've already started to get a split there, but that's okay. So, we're applying tension, roll it in the same direction, sort the string. Tension, same direction, sort the string. Tension, same direction, sort the string. Okay, now as these pieces get thinner and thinner on one side, one will start wrapping over the other, and this declines the strength. It slowly decreases the strength of the cordage. But with a bit of common sense, you'll be able to see when it starts to get dramatically bad. So keep applying the spin and the kink. Lovely, lovely. Starting to get a bit of opening there. Excellent. Going well. This is a beautiful nettle. This is a great example. Even though it was hard to separate from the main stem, the leaves and that, it's actually very nice cordage, which I thought it would be. Right. So, upon examination, you can see the thickness variation from the beginning. As it slowly moves down, it starts to get thinner and thinner, and up to about there is probably a dangerous point, and I'll actually unravel that a little, and I think I'll make a splice just about there. But first, let me just talk to you about this. This is a great binding for anything a bit stronger, like tying firewood together, something like that, and maybe even bootlaces or rudimentary shoelaces, and little things like that. The 2-strand works very well for things like that, very well indeed. So, but I wouldn't do friction fires or anything like that with it yet. Nothing that holds a great deal of pressure. Only rudimentary shelters can be used with things like that. Actually, a little bit of preparation there. I think they can be joined actually. Yeah. Just by spinning and creating, you see a more uniform cord. So I'll just finish off that bit. That means I won't have to waste that little bit on the end. Oops, sorry, that's a bad one. Yeah, that's much better. So I'm just going to roll that, like so, with between my fingers, and then place it and roll it. And yes, that's a much more uniform piece of cordage. Meant I didn't have to waste that little bit, which was good. So I'm just going to finish off this 2-strand now, and in a moment we'll have a look at another part. You can imagine once you get particularly good at this, and once you identify the best plants and things like that, it can actually become a very quick, actually quite pleasing process. Am I spinning that the right way? No. Okay, it's getting a lot thinner now, so what we're going to do now is take it through a splice. Okay, here's our piece of string so far, and here's 2 pieces of ready rolled cordage ready for splicing. And what we're going to do is we're going to join thick end to thin end. Let me remove one of those, and we're going to join thick end of the new piece to the thin end of the old piece. So we take our piece of string, and sorry, let me just twist this back into a bit of shape. We take our bit of string and we take the thin piece, no, let's go thick piece first. We take the thick piece of the new pieces of cord and add it to the thin piece of the old piece of cord. Now, here's the split. Sorry about that. Here's the split, and we take thick piece and we take it right past the split, and what I do is, with my new piece and my old piece, I actually twist them together just in the finger and thumb. And what this does is it adds a bit of uniformity and strength again, but it also replicates what you do on your leg. And instead of doing it just on the leg, which would make my cordage spin around and possibly unravel, this is a much more controlled, uniform way of doing it. And uniformity creates strength and reliability in your string. So, once I've twisted those together like so, always in the same direction as I would be spinning it on my leg, we now have 2 pieces of cordage roughly the same diameter, and I go back to continue rolling it on the leg. So there we have it. That is a successfully spliced piece of cordage. And here's the tail end of the splice, and which we'll cut off later. But let's just go through that again with my next piece. And this was the thick end of the cordage, so we're going to add it to the thin end of the new piece. See, thick end, thin end. And this bit's way too thin, so I'm just going to take that off. That's better. Now this is still a thin end, it's just not quite as thin. And once again, right past the splice by about an inch, or not even that, and roll it while I pinch together the main stem with the new splice. Roll it between finger and thumb. Just until it gets its own bite and starts to join together quite naturally without unravelling in a hurry. There you go. That's just about it. So, see, there's the remnants of the old splice. It's an English joke for you about the old splice. And pinch at the splice, tease into shape, and there you have continued our piece of cordage. And you can just persist doing this now, and this is how you get basic length. And it's just going to go on and on and on until you either run out of cordage, you run out of nettles, or you get fed up, or you get stung, or whatever it is that goes on. So, just teasing it into shape as I go there. Oops. It's actually a bit too thin on one side, so I'm just going to shape it up a bit on the other. There you go. Lovely, lovely, easy peasy, good, strong cordage. So I'll just finish off this. We'll move on to the next step. Now this is your classic 2-ply nettle cordage, and let me just take out these splices for you. It's very tasty cordage. Yummy. Okay, so classic 2-ply cordage there, and what I'll be looking for now with this is I'll be using this save for, like I said before, anything that requires a little bit more strength than just the straight strip, which is one of these. You can see there it's quite different, and this will provide the extra strength needed for carrying things like, or tying bundles of sticks together or something like that for fire, you know, and possibly even a rudimentary trap. But it'd have to be a spring snare, obviously, and to be honest, I wouldn't want to rely on that because it's so easy to just double it up. So let me show you that, because it always works much better once you've already got the ply. Now, again, folding it in half, applying tension, and doing the roll. Whoops, sorry, we have to do it the same way. The opposite way there, because I've bent it over. Now, this is 4-ply, and this is your serious cordage now. It's not plaited. I believe it's called 4-ply. Just make sure it's all nice and even. Just the same process, exactly the same process as before. Pardon me. Right, just go up to the end there, just tie this off. That really is tasty. Okay, fantastic. And that is a great piece of cordage, and this can now be used for things like friction fires and traps and things like that, and that's ready to go. And obviously you can make it as long as you want, as long as you don't run out of nettles. You can make it as thick as you want, so you can actually end up with nettle rope, though obviously more splicing there means more weak points, so you do have to be very careful with using it for things like rope. But for string, it is second to none. It's probably more prolific than willows and things like, but of course it's seasonal. But now is prime time. As you can see, this is just about as good as it gets. It's just going to get better from here until it starts to degrade in the midwinter. But now is the time, folks. If you want to go out, start making it. Nettles are everywhere. They're easy to use. A small child can learn how to handle them without getting stung. I just got the tiniest bits of pricks that were coming because the needles themselves are made of silica, and if you crush them, they crush like glass. And so occasionally, because it was such a tough one, I got the tiniest bits of sting. Then they were only quarter stings, they just had a tiny amount of poison in them. So you can do it completely without getting stung, providing the nettle was a bit freer, giving it up for you. But yeah, this will just go on and provide you with some of the best natural cordage you can imagine. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and learned something. I encourage you to go out and try it yourself. Thank you, and goodbye. The best thing about nettle cordage is that you can eat it afterwards.